guys, today is a big day because guess what? Your girl finished her 35-day post every single day on YouTube challenge. And I still never came up with a shorter way to explain that challenge. I feel like I should have with all the amount of time I had, but I didn't. And it's fine because it's over. I thought it would be a fun time to share with you how this challenge has challenged me and what I've learned along the way. So if you're on your journey of posting on YouTube too, maybe you want to get some tips and tricks. Maybe you just want to hear if it sucks. I don't know, but let's dive in because I'm going to be so honest with you of what this challenge brought to the table. And if you guys do not follow me, my name is Danna-Gift and I'm the host of This Feels Holy. Today, we're doing a little bit of a different video because it's not just, well, it is all about God. God is in everything, but we ain't gonna always just talk about God, you know? Because God is real life too. Before I get too lost here, I got a lot going on in my life right now. And I have some really amazing news that I am going to share with you guys next week. So stay tuned, y'all, because I'm going to be announcing it here. Y'all go hear it first. But for now, yeah, we need to stay focused. We need to stay focused. Okay. So this challenge has been crazy mentally, physically, internally. There's just been a lot that came up during this challenge. The reason why I decided to do it in the first place is because one of my close friends, Hannah Moody, passed away about 6 weeks ago. And I felt it in my heart that I wanted to do something to honor her. I've also felt that God has been calling me to bump up my YouTube channel. And me and Hannah, we always connected over creating content and talking about God. And when she passed unexpectedly during a hike, it was just a very emotional weekend. And I flew out to Arizona. I went and we did a whole birthday because it was her birthday weekend, the weekend after she passed. And we did a whole birthday / memorial weekend when we went out there. And during that weekend, I was spending it with the girls who we all kind of grew up together with. And have been really close friends for the past couple of years. And this topic of YouTube came up again. And so I felt like God was speaking to me all weekend, including Hannah. I feel like Hannah was there all weekend. And I just could hear her voice in the back of my head saying, girl, you got to do it. You got to do it. So I made a vow that weekend that I was going to do a 5-week challenge of posting every single day on YouTube, not just because I feel God has called me, not just to grow my page, not to grow my page at all, but because this has been a lifelong dream of both Hannah and I. So I wanted to do it to honor her. And I'm just so grateful that I actually finished because I definitely wanted to drop out a couple of times. So let's talk about the truth of a 35 post every single day on YouTube challenge. I never got ahead. Let's be for real. Okay. I am and have been a content creator for the past couple of years, for 10 years total, but really, really went all in and quit all of my other side gigs and hustles and whatever to go full time 5 years ago. And normally when I film, I do bulk filming, which means I film all of my content within like one day of the week. I do a bunch of content and then I edit the rest of the week or I plan whatever. And normally this works, but with YouTube, it is a whole different beast. It is a long form content and a long-term gain. And because of that, I never got ahead. And it was frustrating for me because that meant I was literally filming a video every single day. For the most part, there were some days, like very rarely did I actually get ahead, but most of the time I was filming the day of and I would edit the day of and I would post and schedule the day of, and then I would grab clips to post the day of. So I was just really just trying to keep up with the demand, just trying to make sure I posted every single day. I wanted to quit day 3 into the challenge. I'm like, there is no way I'm going to be able to do this. And I remember there was one day I was trying to make a vlog post about moving here to Miami. And that one vlog that was 12 minutes took me 6 hours to edit. And I was like, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. But then I found out a style that worked for me, which is this sit and talk kind of vibe. Although this isn't what I want to do 100% of the time moving forward, I figured out that this is the easiest way for me to still put out content and meet the demand of consistency and not necessarily focus on growth. And it works for me. So yeah, that was great. It was a nice little discovery. And I can proudly say that because of this challenge, I have found out the style that works for me. And obviously I'm going to continue to refine it as I move along, but I can see the parts that I like about the videos I posted, the parts that I didn't. And now I'm kind of combining all of it and turning it into this nice content soup, if you will. When I did try to film everything all in one day, I will say the quality of my videos dropped. You only have so much limited capacity to be able to speak eloquently or educated enough to sound like you know what you're talking about. Obviously, I do think that I can train my capacity for more eventually, but I just didn't get there, especially with having to post every single day. It was just exhausting. I did realize that the more quantity that you focused on, I felt personally that my quality started to lack. I would rather be able to post, I don't know, 2-3 times a week and have much better quality videos that are showcasing the things that I want to showcase versus trying to show up consistently every single day just to get a video out. Now, I know for some people that posting every single day, regardless of the quality, consistency just works. But for me, I have grown quite a bit during this 35-day challenge. I'll give you the analytics, but overall, moving forward, I do not want to sacrifice the quality just to get the quantity. Creating daily it's too much. It's too much. We can't be doing that. Another thing I learned is getting started, you don't need to focus on the quality. Like I was getting in over my head and getting really frustrated because I felt like the quality was suffering. And when I was focused on the quality and getting upset that it wasn't exactly what I imagined, it caused the consistency to feel like it was going to drop. Now, because I was in this challenge, obviously I stuck with it, but the feeling like it needs to look a certain way would have absolutely deterred me from my goal. So what I am trying to say is if you are wanting to post quality content and you are not a skilled content creator, maybe you just haven't been doing it long enough, just get started. Just get started, get moving, because the quality of your content will improve with the consistency of the content. So even though I was kind of running with like a chicken with my head cut off this entire challenge, I will say the quality of my content did start to improve simply because I was getting enough reps in. So just rinse, repeat, and starting to see the things that I liked and didn't like. So just get moving. Do not focus on the niche. Don't focus on the quality. It's going to be messy. It'll always be messy, but you will learn as you go along. And eventually, when you're up there, when you're like making the $100 off of YouTube, you'll be perfectly fine. Like you're going to look back at your content. Yes, you'll cringe, and that's a sign of your growth, but you'll be like, who cares? Now they get to see where you started. So just get started. Overall, consistency absolutely trumps everything. So you could be skilled, but never show up and you'll never get anywhere. So overall, consistency is key. And I know you guys have probably heard this before. You've probably seen it on a Pinterest board or something as famous quotes, but consistency truly is key. And there's a reason why people say it, because it's true. Now, your level of consistency does not have to look like posting every single day. Actually, I don't even recommend that for people. I would say choose something that is feasible and something that is sustainable for you and stick with that. And then when you are in a good, consistent flow with posting that many times a week, then you can start to add to it slowly. Like if you're weight training, you're not going to want to jump from a 0 pound to a 50 pound and think that you're going to be able to pull that off, right? You might pull some hamstrings, you might pull some muscles, but you ain't going to pull it off. So rather than trying to jump from one end to the other, just start with once a week. And once you get into a habit of posting once a week, say it's every Monday, you post a YouTube video and you realize, okay, this is becoming fairly easy for me to maintain. Now you want to add in an extra video. Maybe you want to do Monday and Wednesdays, and then so on and so forth. As you continue to get these rhythms down, then you can add more onto your plate, but don't just jump in from 0 to 100 real quick, because that is a real quick way to get burnt out. What has this challenge shown me mentally? Mentally, this was the most I've ever pushed myself in content creation. Now, I do TikTok shop, which means I post a lot of UGC content on TikTok, and I do a lot of short form videos, and that I've built up a pretty good consistent posting schedule when it comes to that. At one point, I was posting 5 short videos a day. Now, that is nothing compared to posting a 10 plus minute. Oftentimes my videos ended up being at least 20 minutes minimum every single day. So those shorts were nothing compared to what I was doing in this challenge. And so many times I wanted to quit. But what really grounded me during this time was the reason why I chose to do this in the first place. This was for Hannah. This was to grow the YouTube page that God has asked me to build. And overall, when on those days that I felt very weak and I wanted to give up so bad, I remembered that I was doing this for Hannah and I didn't want to let her down, and I was doing this for God and I definitely didn't want to let God down. And so that also sounds very cliche to say, remember your why. But if you don't have a strong enough reason other than wanting to grow your following of why you're doing this in the first place, then you will not be consistent with this. You will fall off. So getting very clear on your why, and do not make it a monetary thing, because when it comes to YouTube is a long game. This isn't a get rich quick scheme. This is a long haul, invest into your personal brand kind of scheme. So if you're looking for money and like instant fame and growth and all of that, you're going to be let down. So instead of going straight for that, focus in on just creating a why that is personal, that can inspire you to continue to push forward on those days that you're feeling like you really want to quit. Here's some differences that I notice in posting long form content versus short form content. Short form content, I realize on Instagram and TikTok, the capacity or maybe just the attention levels of the viewers on each platform is completely different. On TikTok, it's like the shortest amount of attention span ever. Instagram is right around the same corner. And then YouTube, you get some really good high quality engagement when people are actually watching your stuff. I noticed like people on YouTube seem nicer, and I don't know why, but I mean, hey, if they're staying for an entire long form video content, it makes sense that they would be a little bit nicer, because that means they actually like you to stick around. Whereas like, you know, you go to a shorts video or a reel or a TikTok, you can just swipe left or swipe right. It's like a dating for entertainment. Yeah, I just find that long form video content overall for me has been a lot more rewarding than it has been that for short form content. That's just my personal opinion, but you know, to each their own. Another thing I learned during this is the lack of validation you get for posting videos. Now, I will say, because of the amount of traction my video started to get, I did feel like the comments and the engagement and the views increasing, that was the kind of validation that was completely worth it. But for a while in the beginning, when I first started this challenge, I barely got anything. It was crickets, and it was very disheartening, but I needed to remember that the reason why I was doing this was not to get a bunch of followers. It was not even to grow my page, really. It was for me to develop the habit of posting consistently and to challenge myself and prove to myself that I could do this. And obviously for Hannah, for God. When I started to focus in on the metrics, that's when I was disappointed. But when I focused in on my why, I was able to overcome those disappointed feelings. But the validation is a little hard. But you know what? At the end of the day, we shouldn't need validation to post the things that we like. Like if you are enjoying what you're doing, the right people will find you. So here's some tips that I discovered along the way just to meet the demand of this challenge. I realized that I could be posting 10-minute clips from my other long form video contents and push those videos out to meet the requirements. I didn't know that people were doing this, but apparently people who have long form video contents, they have like a whole podcast that's an hour long. It would benefit you to clip a 10-minute clip from that hour-long video and post that as a separate video. Because now you're bringing in more traffic to that one full conversation video, and you're still getting the views and watch time for people who don't necessarily want to invest an entire hour in watching content of somebody who they don't fully know yet. So my husband gave me this idea, and it was actually brilliant. And it did save me some weekends of a lot of work. So when he told me, I probably started doing that around week 4 and I did like 2 weekends worth of clipping 10-minute video from an hour-long conversation, and it has saved me a lot. And I did a lot of research during this challenge. Gary Vee really had a good point about a lot of people who make content don't necessarily need to make more content, but instead need to learn how to market the content they've already created better. And that just goes to say the 10-minute clips from a long form, like an hour-long conversation just makes sense. Like instead of continuing to push out new content all the time, you don't really know if your content is good or not if you're not marketing it properly, right? Sometimes it's the algorithm that's not necessarily picking up on the audience that it needs to feed it to. Sometimes it just needs a little bit more of a push. So repurposing your long form video content into shorter, more digestible sections was really, really helpful for me, and maybe it'll be helpful for you. Now, to wrap this up in a pretty bow, for those of you who made it to the end of this video, you're probably watching because maybe you want to run your own content challenge, your own YouTube video challenge. Maybe this is the year for you and YouTube to grow. You've had it on your heart. So if that is the case, let me give you some tips on how to run and maintain your own challenge. What I suggest is get very, very clear on the rules. I went into ChatGPT and I threw in the idea that I had about this 35-day video challenge. What are all the things that I needed to discuss? What are all the things that I needed to get very clear on in order to have a successful result? And ChatGPT will pop up a whole bunch of things, but get very clear on the rules. Understand how many days you are doing. Okay, just write it down, write down the details of this challenge. Make sure you write down what qualifies as a piece of content that meets this challenge. So my thing that I kind of I had a conflict in my own mind about was the whole clipping 10-minute clips from the hour-long videos that I previously had posted. That at the time, I felt like was kind of cheating because I hadn't gotten clear on what actually qualifies as a piece of content. But my challenge was not to have extremely high quality content, but instead it was to meet the consistency and demand of posting every single day on YouTube. And that was it. I didn't get clear on the qualifications of what the video was. It could have been 5 minutes. It could have been 10 minutes. It could have been 3 minutes, and that would have counted. But the whole goal was just to post every single day. So I do not recommend you do it the way that I did it, and instead get clear on what actually qualifies as a piece of content. So that way you don't deal with the whole internal conflict of telling yourself that you cheated during your challenge. Cause I know I did, but eventually I was like, you know what? No. I did not cheat. I stuck to what I promised myself. As you're doing this challenge, you want to make sure you ground yourself in your why. I was mentioning earlier that when those days came around where I wanted to quit, if I hadn't gotten clear on my why, if I didn't write it down and make it very obvious why I was doing what I was doing, then I would have quit a long time ago. And even if you want, like, post little motivational stickers right at the front of your desk while you're working, while you're editing on those days where you're feeling dark, you need to have a quick reminder as to why you're doing it in the first place. And that, for the most part, can help you push through those very challenging moments. Next, how are you going to measure the success of this YouTube video challenge? For me, I measured it by simply posting a video every single day. I did not care about how much followers I got. Obviously, that's a plus. I didn't care about the analytics. I didn't look at those numbers. Those were all exciting to see when they would grow. But at the end of the day, the reason why I did this was so I can challenge myself and see what I'm actually capable of and post every single day. So my measurements was something that I could actually control and keep track of. So you never want to base your success of the challenge like this based off of followers. You never want to base it off of view times or watch hours, because those are things that you truly cannot control. So if you're going to do this challenge, base your success off of something that you can control. So if that means your YouTube challenge is each video you want to make sure you include an intro. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. That is one thing that is in your control that you can actually track and measure, because if you try to base it off of followers or watch time, most of the time we're going to be disappointed. I know I would have been if I based it off of that, because I have high expectations, sometimes unwarranted expectations, maybe, I don't know. I'm a dreamer. Your girl's a dreamer. If I based it off of that stuff, I probably would have been a lot more discouraged and I probably would have quit a long time ago. But because I based it off of just posting a video every single day and I didn't care how sloppy it was, I didn't care about the quality, the goal was to simply post, I felt pretty proud of that. And I did finish successfully. So, hey. And the last but not least is remember to have fun with it. The whole reason why we post content, the whole reason why we share all this stuff is not so we can get filthy rich. Yes, I guess some people are out there who really just want to make a buck and they don't really care what they do as long as they make a buck. But for people like me and maybe even you, which I'm assuming if you're here on this channel, it's because we vibe, because we're kind of similar, then creating content, we do it because we love it. We do it because it's fun. We do it because we want to share with people what we've learned. We want to help people. Like, this is not a let me get rich kind of vibe. Like, yes, that's a plus to it, but we do it because we love it. And so I don't want you to forget the reason why you do it. Have fun with it, play with it, be okay with the mess, be okay with it being sloppy, because it's going to be. Like, especially if you're just getting started, do not get so lost and caught up in all of the details and making it look so perfect and you figuring out your niche right away. Like, let all of that happen as a messy result of what happens when you're just playing. Think of an artist, right? When they gather all these colors and they're just throwing paint at the wall, they don't have a full vision of what they're trying to create most of the time, especially those artists. They're just doing it because they love it and they feel an emotion when they do it. Try to channel the artist in you and the creative out of you and just allow yourself to be okay with the messy and play with the process simply because you love doing it. I hope that this was helpful for some of you out there. If you have dreams or aspirations of blowing up on YouTube, and if it did, please like, share, subscribe, send it to somebody you know. I cannot believe that I finished this challenge. I'm so grateful that I did. I'm also so grateful that it's over. And now I think I'm going to go back to a more normal posting schedule of, I don't know, 2-3 times a week. And I'm just going to enjoy and vibe out on that because I don't want to get burnt out on something that I love. So thank you guys for sticking with me on this 35-day challenge. I'm glad and I'm proud that I was able to accomplish sticking to this challenge. I think you will be too if you decided to do it. So just do it. You're worth it. It's worth it. All right. Love you. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye. You know what I just realized I forgot to include is the analytics of what happened during this 35-day challenge. So let me show you guys the analytics from June 8th to July 10th. Let's look at the results here. I got 45,136 views. My watch time increased 852 hours. And I have increased my subscriber count to 368. You can see here that a lot of my results came from shorts first, and then people found my long form video content after engaging with some of my short form video content. What I would suggest is if you are going to, or you want to grow on your YouTube channel, make sure you prioritize shorts. They, at least for me, get a lot better reach than a long form video content, and the shorts reels them in to the long form video content. So that's what I've discovered, at least for my page. It has done me a huge service to post shorts and then connect those shorts to the long form video content because you can add a related video. The goal is really to hit 4,000 watch hours in 365 days. I do believe that I'm going to be able to hit that 4,000 within a couple of months, honestly. So I'm super excited about that. I'm actually going to double down on my shorts instead of posting so much on long form video content. And I'm going to do a better job at promoting my long form videos versus just creating more. So that was the results of this entire challenge. And I'm very satisfied, very excited to see what is going to happen next, and really, really excited to just find a more sustainable posting schedule, because posting every single day is just not it for me. So we're going to figure out something that works. And that's my goal. And yeah, this has been amazing. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.